Hello there, this is Warpath 1985 speaking, and in day 12 of the 12 Days of War, the Found Day, might add, I shall be discussing the Transformers Unite Warriors, Hook and Long-Hal. Now, unlike the previous members, these two have a lot more characterization in the previous episode with Scavenger and Bone Crusher, because although yes, I forgot to mention that technically Bone Crusher does have a short temper, but I mentioned that. However, Hook is very weird. Hook is probably the most weirdest character overall of the Constructicons because his consistency is very confusing. Sometimes he's pompous, sometimes he's vain, sometimes he's kind of just flamboyant. It's also kind of further exasperated by his voice, which is very similar to the tracks where it's like, I am Hook. Clearly you do not understand my perfection when it comes to my architect. That kind of thing. And he puts on that general voice, or just that general, his voice really, all his continuities in the G1 specific, both in visual form, but also you kind of get that pompousness through his comic books, technically. It's very weird. And that's generally the characterization overall. He's just very pompous and very douchey. That's to describe it. However, when it comes to his toys, relatively speaking, they're very consistent overall. It's not like the other members were, relatively speaking, all of them look significantly different than their previous versions, while Hook is drastically a lot more consistent overall, with the exception of his general articulation in vehicle mode, but also, might I add, his legs. Because in G1, in the original toy, he had these very weird asymmetrical legs. I think it's asymmetrical, where one side had the cab and the other side did not. And of course, that wasn't reflected with future interpretations, either due to balancing or due to transformation, etc. Technically, the Studio Series 86 version did achieve that, but not really. So does apply to the Ground Wars mold, where they're in the same place, but they're on the back this time. Once again, it's okay, but it's not really the greatest solution overall. However, when it comes to Long-Hal, also, a lot more characterization. However, because of really his general characterization is that he's a big guy, he's very tough, he's very strong. He's probably the strongest Constructicon, mind you. But also, he's very apathetic, really. His demeanor is very like, ugh, do I really have to do this again? And that's generally his demeanor. He's always so overtly tired and sick of everything around him, and especially when he has to move stuff, because might I add, he hates being a dump truck. He hates being a earth mover. He's got an earth mover, and because of that, he gets this weird characterization in the G1 cartoon where it was complaining that, again, I have to move stuff. And this is further accentuated in like his artwork for the Unite Warriors box set, where it just looks pretty sad, like, oh, I had to carry more stuff around. And that general characterization does get carried over through his other interpretations. However, to kind of more lean into that tough guy mentality, especially in the sense that after Avengers of Fallen, where it's portrayed to be this big, bulky bruiser, since then, he's the big, bulky bruiser now. Because although yes, beforehand he still was, technically that was supposed to be Bone Crusher in a sense, with short timer, etc. But Long-Hal became the big bruiser, is now further exasperated by his IDW parents, made him absolutely massive. And especially seen through the fact that in Devastation, he was, a big bruiser. He was the guy who was big pushover. He still was the guy who complained that I had to move stuff, etc. But also, you get this weird, unique design philosophy with the generation character models, where they're G1 but slightly updated but beefier, which most of the Constructicons of that game were technically based off the Combined Wars figures, and were also the general designs were used to create the 86 Constructicons, which is why all of them look both accurate but also horrifically not. In the sense, even color-wise as well, because might add, the 86 Constructicons are not G1 accurate, they're technically video game accurate. Which is weird because it has the same effect of Kingdom Rhinox, where he's video game accurate, but he's based off a toy it was used as a basis for a video game which he's based off of, that being Earth Wars. So same applies here with Long-Hal, was 86 version, but not so much obviously was Combined Wars version, which was the figure that was used as the basis for Devastation. That's what we should describe it. But overall, the two's history is very weird, but however, their characterization is probably the most interesting part about them, besides their visual appearance. But generally, if you're curious who's my favorite, well, it's Long-Hal. It's obviously Long-Hal. Long-Hal's always been my favorite since Devastation. And with that aside, the figures themselves are very basic, mind you. I would first be going over, well, Hook, because, well, he's basically the exact same articulation as Mixmaster, but has a little more in certain areas. For example, he has much less shoulder articulation due to the kibble. Like, you can get to it, but you have to like flex plastic here, which looks, or generally feels, pretty suspicious. However, it still works, mind you. And also it's hinged, which is pretty interesting as well. Present to other figures previously reviewed where they used ball joints, he actually uses hinges, so that's an improvement overall. He also has the same double jointed elbows, which is pretty interesting as well. But generally, his articulation is pretty much exactly the same overall. We'll talk about accessories a little later. Like, he has technically less and even also more range at the head, because he has a lot more range upwards, but not downwards. So it's kind of like very weird feeling. But also, like, his leg articulation, once again, is exactly the same, but a little more, because he actually can go out much more properly, in a sense. Like, again, it's the exact same articulation as Mixmaster overall, but it's just slightly more. Like, his insane amount of ankle articulation, like, that is exclusive to Hook, and Hook is like the only one with this like impressive amount of like ankle articulation on the whole box set, which is intriguing to say the least. But overall, once again, he's exactly the same articulation as, well, Mixmaster. Besides, like, the insane articulation in the legs and taking a little more in the head, but overall, still the same. Now, mind you, similar to Mixmaster, you have this massive, like, piece of kill in the back, that being his crane arm. Because, although, yes, it is technically a lot better in the sense, according to G1 figure, where it was just used as a third leg to support the figure's weight, the back heaviness. In the case of like the new version, not in the original version, where it couldn't really do much, really. Like, it like teeters a lot. So here, like, it just teeters a lot. In this case, it just supports it, which is pretty cool, mind you. But the only problem with it is, well, it can't really rotate, and it's just sticking there. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but at least the other articulation points do help it out because of the figure. And also, he has the same general problem with the absence of proper bicep cuts, which means that he can't really do any sort of really good gun poses. However, he has a combiner weapon here, that being the front portion of Devastator's blaster, which is interesting at least. Pretty cool. And his gun, which is once again exclusive to the United Wars version. Also has a storage port. It's a slot that goes in here on both sides. But it's used for vehicle mode. However, for a Long-Hal, his articulation is actually substantially probably the best overall in comparison to every else in the set. Even though yes, it's still very limited, it's shocking how good it is. So, we first go with the weapons on like hook, because I want to show that once again. The figure is basically the same as Mixmaster overall in its articulation scheme. However, once again, Long-Hal actually has a combiner piece, that being the back portion of my camera can focus here. There's the blaster. Yeah, it's pretty chunky. Also has this pretty chunky blaster here. That's once again homage to the original figure and also the cartoon, etc. And is exclusive to where's figure. So yeah, pretty cool. But for articulation, it's really weird. Obviously, this hampered to this size, but also it's still very, in a sense, good. So, it has a bulge right at the neck here, which is limited, but due to the transformation, you can look down. And also, not up. It's unfortunate. But it has these really weird, like, shoulder joints in the transformation. But because it has, like, a lot of range, once again, it's so weird. But yeah, it's just functionally almost similar to that of Mixmaster and Hook for shoulders, but also has bicep cuts outwards and inwards due to transformation, and elbows, which is exclusive to the where's figure / mold. He also has, and he's the only one, mind you, that has this. He has waist rotation. He's the only one that has this. It's pretty weird. Also due to the combined mode, but still, he has very tough ratchets for his hips. They are limited, obviously, but still pretty strong. It's a knee bend too, so it's pretty good. And an ankle articulation, which is, whoa, impressive. Once again, to the transformation. So yeah, the articulation for both, to be honest, it's both limiting and also surprisingly really good. Before I get into transformation, I'd like to have some comparisons with the original G1 molds. First would be Hook with Skyhook here, and as you can see, huge difference between both of them. Although yes, he still does retain like certain parts here and there that are seen in the original figure, both colorization and also design. You can also see that there's, well, a huge difference in size. And also, here is Mega Hauler with Long-Hal here. And once again, same thing here. Huge difference in size between the both of them. And with that, let's move on to transformation. So for transformation, now we first are going over hooks because it's probably the most weirdest in the sense that you have to get it in like a certain way. And the general pattern here, not pattern, but generally just, oh, what's the word for it? I can't remember. Probably the ways, probably the best way to call it. But generally, you have to like get everything in the correct position, or else nothing can really fit together. But overall, it's pretty simple. Just tab these pieces together like so. And just tab these in there. I think I got this right. Yeah, that's it. And there's Hook in his little crane truck mode, and the weapon storage as mentioned before. Simply tapping the gun onto the side of the arm of the crane mode. However, unfortunately, there's no general rotation back here, which is unfortunate. Like it may like jiggle a little bit, but that's mainly due to the transformation hinge being like loose on mine. But yeah, overall, you can do probably pretty much everything else except for extending. But yeah, it gets the job done overall. But comes to Long-Hal, it's a lot more beefier of transformation, because functionally you just had to like almost do like the combined modes transformation, but obviously a lot more different. Do look at this, rotate this around. Like shove these pieces in here. Like so. You have to like just smush all this in here. It's like a massive like clamshell essentially. And everything should like tab in like that. While they have Long-Hal's massive dump truck mode, and it rolls very well. Functionally, it's more resembles that of the much more larger ones. You see that more often. And ones that also get televised the most. Only the previous version was like this little dinky dump truck. But speaking of, probably transfer now with the both of them for comparison before I move on to their, well, technically Long-Hal's main gimmick in the vehicle mode. And as you can see, as before, huge size difference between the original one and the Combiner Wars mold. They look very good together, but obviously you can see that, yeah, this thing is dwarfed. But yeah, you saw right there, gun storage. It's also option for Long-Hal as well. For Hook, a more simple transformation here. Transform this figure here. It's obviously not the original figure, it's the Tonkonator set. But yeah, here's the original mold with the Hook here. Once again, absolutely dwarfed, which my camera's like focusing on. There we go. Yeah, you see like how massively dwarfed the two are. Or technically, yeah, it's 2R compared to the new ones ish. When you come like years ago. But the primary gimmick is that Long-Hal unfortunately has a job to be the one to store everything in the back. So pretty much you grab everything, every single like combiner piece, and Long-Hal has the ability to just carry it all. Sorry, feels like a little dry here. But yeah, he can literally just carry everything in his bed, like so. But with these, you have to like, I forget like which way is the proper way. Like you have to like get these like a specific way here. Let's see, I think it's like that. Yeah, there you go. It's like that. You have to like get in there, like so. Get this one here. This one here. Buy the missile launchers and plug them in the back like so. And there you go, you have Long-Hal carrying all the combiner bits. And it looks egregious, but I love it. But yeah, let's move on to the next segment, that being, well, combine mode. So for combine mode, you first have to get rid of most of their accessories, except for a few, but that'll be, well, mainly, well, to start with the combine mode, you first have to get rid of all their accessories. And next, you pretty much have to basically separate comes hook here, everything. Like so, to then collapse. I think so. He's like stuck here. There now. All right. After that, just fit this down. Just plug in right here, like so. Put the head. Flip these tabs outward. Bend this piece here. Leave this on like so. Flip it out like that. And then flip the tab here. And there we have hook in his combine mode. Sorry, just taking his combine mode. I almost forgot. Gotta flip with these pieces here. Also. So did the same with the original one here with Skyhook here. So yeah, same general thing. It's like the combine mode. Like 3. Essentially the same general spot and everything. Bossy, a lot bigger. With the new-ish one. But for Long-Hal, we just have to like untransform almost everything here. Let's have to like fit this up and this outward. And let's get into halfway to robot mode. But flip these is outward like so. I'm turning it down, sorry. Flip these pieces down. You have the thighs. The combine mode. These pieces here. There's Long-Hal, this combine mode. And fit these pieces up. Like so. I'm sorry. Now there's Long-Hal's combine mode. It's very, very tall. The camera pose on it. There now. But yeah. Pretty much the lower torso, crotch, thighs, and knees the combined mode. But yeah, I won't be like combining the two for today, because I'll be saved for tomorrow. For the Christmas Eve special. But besides that, that's all for day 12 of 12 Days of War. And like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I shall see you for, the Christmas Eve special. And with that aside, goodbye.